Joining us now, she's in her fourth season already. Wow, as head
Oh,
coach at her alma mater at Cal, where she was one of the greats, All-American, a national, one of the best of all time to play there. I speak of Chelsea Spencer joining us
what's
back here in
up?
the show. You doing good here? It's becoming our yearly tradition.
I wouldn't want to spend it with anybody else other than you, Eric. Thank you
Wow.
for having me on here. We appreciate you. I can't believe it's our fourth season so far. I mean, COVID kind of put a wrench in it a little bit when I first got hired here, but I'm so excited to be here. So excited to be a part of this staff, this athletic department. It's where I want to be.
Yeah, I think we've had you on literally since you were hired every year. So I'm really excited about that. How do you feel you're a different head coach today than when you took over the program when we first interviewed you?
Oh man, growth is part of our core values. It's our number one value that we strive to be better than the day before. I mean, that's all you can ask for, right? Is just growing, being a better communicator. I'm a parent now, so that really helps trying to explain something to a 3-year-old, a smart one that argues with me every day. So I feel like I'm getting more practice, right? Um, more patient. These student athletes who have been with us for the time that me, Coach Quico, have been here. Tatum, she's a great leader for us, and helping us. And Acacia Anders helping us, you know, teach the youth of what our coaching standards are. And yeah, I think growth is the hugest thing of mostly communication and creating these relationships with these student athletes that last a lifetime.
Last year, obviously, you won 35 games, got back to the NCAA tournament, got to the regional final in Norman before obviously having the season end by Oklahoma, which, everybody has had that issue before, so that nothing new. But what did that mean to you? Because I know that was a big thing about you, is getting this program back to the standards that it was when you were there as a player. When you reflect on last year, what comes to mind?
Cal's always been a team that is expected to make postseason every year. So when I took over this program, it was in a good spot. It was we weren't in postseason contention yet. But Coach Ninemeyer, I always say this, recruited me. So I feel like she had a great eye for talent. Maybe I'm a little biased, but we had some great athletes on the team. They just it was just a weird time, like I mentioned before, especially with COVID where it kind of shut us all down. But we're in a good spot. The alumni, we play for the alumni. We play for the people that play with me, that played after me, that played before me. And getting back to the regional final, when we knew that we were going to Oklahoma, I mean, there was a little clip. Did you watch the selection show at all?
I
Did you
did.
see that slight clip where it said Cal after it said Oklahoma, but I was like, no, we're going to friggin' Oklahoma. Um, Oh man, but I don't think I've ever seen a better team than that. We grew a lot in that region. We uh, we had some moments of greatness, and it was great to my student athletes. Great to see a team like Oklahoma compete every second of every pitch, every pitch by pitch, and understanding what it means to be a national champion. And it was a blessing and a curse for sure. Like you said, nobody's going to get beat by that team, and I thought it was some of our best ball that we played. So I was pretty proud of the group of athletes that we had.
You've obviously been to the NCAA tournament many a times as a coach, many times as a player. But did it feel extra special being there in the NCAA tournament as the head coach of your alma mater versus, say, being the player at Cal? Compare those, being in the NCAA tournament as a player at Cal versus being the head coach at Cal.
Oh, that's such a touchy thing because the way I coach and my philosophy is I want to develop student athletes to a point where they can coach on the field themselves, right? And like I can't be there every minute of every second of every play, right? And so what we did at Cal, we were 3 times in a row in the national champion game, in that championship game. We were all coaches out there. Those are the days where we also called our own plays, our own pickoffs, So um uh there's a standard at Cal that says we're going to make it to regionals. That's it. That's a standard of me coaching that we're going to make the postseason. Does it feel different as a head coach? I don't know. I was excited, but that's just the standard that I have, and the expectation that I see through our program is the University of California, Berkeley is always going to be in the postseason in regards to softball, and it's only what I know. So is it special that it's a head coach? Yeah, those wins do go on my record, but at the same time, Coach White, you know, entrusted me with a good part of the program to help me authentically be who I am, to help them go there too. And it's, you know, obviously we're growing every day and we're becoming different coaches, but at the same time, I'm still authentically who I was when I played and when I coached. So, the expectation for us is to, you know, be in the postseason. Did it mean a lot for me because it was my alma mater? Yes. But that's just kind of what we expect and what our alumni expects of us too. I mean, quite frankly, they think that we should be in regionals. I'm sure they want us to be in the World Series, but I truly believe that if your team is a super regional team, that's where you want to be. Because, you know, it takes a little luck here and there to get to the World Series, like a blown call or a little blue pit, a bad base running read, things like that to get to the World Series. So I want to be a super regional team. I think we are that this year, led by our coaching staff. I think we're a truly special team this year. That one that we're going to be fun to watch.
What do you want, especially the returners that experience that NCAA tournament and saw it up close? What do you want them to take from that experience into this year? And have you noticed that here in the fall?
Oh man, I mean, Tatum Inzaldo is leading us with Acacia Anders, Tiana Bell, Elon Butler. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have a ton of freshmen coming in that are going to be true leaders on the field too. Randy Rolling, Ryan Orange, Longi Quiroga. I could keep going. All those athletes are already playing a huge part in our culture. You know, our returners coming down saying, "Oh, coach, I understand now what it takes from the get." Right? You're a new coach. They didn't pick me. I didn't pick them. So you're in this like weird relationship where you're like, I didn't marry you, and I'm like, well, I didn't marry you either. But in the most respectful way, right? We're all trying to figure out how to get on, and Tatum is someone who I've rode hard a lot because she's someone who can, one, take it, but two, like, she is really freaking good. And she's taken that job along with Acacia Anders. She's a little bit more of a silent leader, do by example. Elon Butler and Tiana, man, those four returners, that's gonna probably at the end of the day be my infield. And it's a solid group of returners who can lead us in the way that they've already experienced, right? They have grown tremendously this fall as communicators, as people who hold high standards. And man, they tasted it last year, what it's like to get, I swear, if we're in the regional final at another region, I think maybe we can give a better game. They're excited to play.
You've got a young roster. I mentioned the 7 freshmen. I think you have 6 sophomores. I think almost half your roster is either freshmen or sophomores. So it's a young group, but you do have experience. You mentioned obviously Tatum, who's an All Pac-12 honoree, is one of your leaders. Hit
She should have
383.
been an All-American, honestly, last year.
Yeah.
I'll say that over and over again. She should have been an All-American last year.
Well, as someone who was an All-American herself, you could probably, what you're talking about when it comes to that. But just talk about this young roster, because you have a bit of a turnover, but you got a young talent here. Now you're starting to get the players that you recruited in. You mentioned obviously a Ryan Orange, who I saw play in Rutgers. He's tremendous talent. She's also new. So just talk about this kind of new roster, but yet you have experience. You mentioned the leaders, but you also have some new youth there, particularly with this freshman class that I know you're excited about.
I'll start with the freshman class. Randy Rolling on the bump, left-handed. She won state in high school. I know it's just high school, but being able to go long runs like that throughout the year is important to me. She pitched, I don't know, over 400 strikeouts. I think Ryan Maddox got the Gatorade Player of the State, but if she didn't get it, Randy was going to get it. We're excited to have her on the mound. She's going through a little bit of transition period, right? Every level you kind of go up, you get a little bit of transition, and she's taken it well. Ryan Orange is not a freshman, but she's a newcomer, and she's
Yeah.
gonna she didn't pitch much last year, but she's gonna guide us on the mound. She's a tremendous competitor, perfectionist. I mean, a lot of people who go to Cal, and I'll say elite probably talent, are perfectionists, right? And both of those, Randy and Ryan, they want to be really, really good, and they have those tendencies to Randy, she was talking with Coach Quico. She looked at the numbers of one of the fall games. She was like, 8 out of 10 strikeouts. And Coach Quico's like, what, you want 11 out of 10? She was like, absolutely. And you're like, it's not it's impossible, right? But that's what she wants. So love those two. Both those girls are going to throw to Longi Quiroga. I mean, when I tell you there's not a player like that in America, there's not a player like Longi Quiroga in America. And she's a stud catcher with a stud arm. I mean, she played tackle football till she was in 8th grade. When she went to high school, she didn't. She was getting headhunted a little bit in football, and they had her stop because they knew she was going to have a fantastic career in softball. I'm super excited that she picked our program. She'll probably she can steal bases too. I mean, all these girls are athletes. We're pretty fast. We're pretty strong. Or they're putting a ton of work in the weight room. It's super proud coach for me. I know the weight room is one of my things, right? Strength and conditioning. TJ Owens, he's helping us out as not helping us out. He's our strength and conditioning coach. And he's putting us in a really good spot of strength and is developing speed. Our student athletes love them, and I mean, they're getting after it in the weight room. And Longi is one of them. And I would go a little bit deeper real quick into Alexis Bishop didn't have a year last year. She redshirted, and the massive juice that Alexis Bishop and what she's put in the weight room, expect a big year from her.
You talked some about that pitching staff. Do you see it going by committee? Do you feel you have established leaders in that circle? How do you envision this pitching staff working? Do you think some players will step in? Obviously, who do you have leadership there? How do you envision that staff?
Our staff is, we have 7 pitchers. I don't, on any day it might be different. Some people have the juice to go all the whole way, and some people, at sometimes it doesn't. I'm gonna go with the flow. If you're not gonna do it, someone else is gonna. And we have the studs in the bullpen that want the ball, right? So they're eager twos. They get twos. They want to be on the mound every pitch. And we're gonna be Anna Reimers, her first year, her freshman year, she had an injury this last year. She had another small injury that, down the stretch after she beat Stanford, she had to sit for a while. And that was agonizing as a coach because I knew I was gonna need her, and I saved her to the Missouri game. And when she gave me her all that game, and we beat Missouri in that region. And she's gonna be up there as a leader. She's someone who looks super nice, but is very, very competitive. She got like 3 wrong on her SAT. Like, she got into MIT by herself in Boston, and she's very perfectionist, very good. I'm excited to have her back full strength as well. Let me see who else we got. Shanti McDade. I mean, she had a broken wrist all the way till February, got a cast off last year. I mean, there's some things that happened to us that I didn't think we even reached our full potential by May. And Shanti McDade, she just deadlifted. Everybody's going crazy about this LSU kid who deadlifted 400, and we didn't get it on film. She deadlifted 475.
Whoa.
475. Let's go, Shanti. I love you, TT. She's out there in Texas right now, at home, but she's killing it. Let's see. Samantha Rocha is gonna come, have some spot innings as well. And Temperson. I mean, come on, like, she's our best locator. She can throw a ball on a dime somewhere. I think we're gonna be a good spot on the mound. And Thule and Danielle O'Toole, man, she's working them this year, and she's one of the best in the business. Hope to have her for some years to come, and she's doing a good job.
Let's talk a little about the offense. Last year, you set numerous program records offensively, tremendous numbers. You do, like you mentioned, Tatum already. She was one of your leaders offensively. But just talk about the offense and how you envision it. It was an experienced group, but you do return some nice talent.
We are lucky to be blessed with some power and speed. We're gonna have I mean, Ryan Orange is a pitcher, but she's also one of the probably if not the fastest. I think we got her the fastest time over Diamond Holland, which is tough to do. Diamond Holland, oh my God, she's been killing it this year. She's been grabbing you know, balls off the wall, center field. She has power. She has a bunt threat. She's a slapper. I mean, we have power at the top of our order going into Acacia that can bunt and hit too. And then you got the Tianas and the Elons and the Bishops who have all power. You know, I would hope that I'm able to recruit young athletes to replace my top athletes, right? Like that's what you do. You want to out recruit, you know, every freshman year, you're going to out recruit your freshmen. So, you know, I'm entrusting Elon and Tiana to take some of the power numbers that we graduated with McKenna, right? So, you know, yeah, we did lose someone who, and Casey too. Casey graduated and had a stellar year as well. So those two, I'm confident in their abilities to come in and produce some of those power numbers. And having Alexis Bishop back, it's gonna, you know, I think we're in a really good spot for us able to have base stealers. That was my big thing. We didn't have any base stealers really last year, so we've been working on our speed, you know, getting that power, knocking in runs, and being able to use the short game too.
Yeah, McKenna Smith. Wow. I just realized, yeah, that's going to be weird not seeing her in that lineup there. Of course, she's doing it well in the pros, high level there. What a phenomenal athlete who really helped get the program to where it was last year. So a salute to her on everything she's done.
She's a bear through and through, that's for sure.
It's a great word there. Coaching staff, you mentioned Danielle too. That was a big headliner. She'll be running your pitching staff. She's one of many new faces on your staff. So just talk about your staff as a whole and how you envision each them and their contributions and their role.
So obviously, I promoted Kylie Quico, Coach Quico, into the defensive coach. She's done a really great job throughout the years of learning from Coach White. I mean, she's a jack of all trades. She's you know, helped Coach White with pitching. She's been with Jimmy Colitis and Steve Singleton with hitting. She's also been with me with the defense as well. I wanted to relieve myself so I can, you know, be able to go see pitching during the practices, stuff like that. So, and go watch observe hitting, be like a true, which is hard for me because I'm like a defensive person. I'm like pretty, that is one thing where I, as a head coach, I have grown is to be able to delegate responsibilities confidently to my staff. She's doing a phenomenal job with the infield, and the infield's looking great. Brandon Telesco, our new offensive coach. Love what he's doing. He's from the Bay Area, high energy, empowering women to do things gassing them up when they're doing well, being able to have some tough love when they're not, and is able to establish a great relationship and repertoire with the student athletes. I like how he has different approaches for different people, and the stuff that he's brought in offensively has really aided to our production with the long ball. I mean, we lost so much with Casey and McKenna that he knows that he knows the situation we're in, but he's really, I love this about him. He's really keen on the short game. I mean, you know, not many baseball guys that you come to softball, but he was the NAIA coaching staff of the year of softball. So let's give him credit. He's been coaching softball for a long time. A lot of baseball guys who come into softball, they're like, it's long ball or die, but he likes the short game. You know, he's really versed with slapping technique. And I mean, what he's doing with our student athletes offensively is really good. I really like him. Daniela Toole. I mean, I can go on and on about those two coaching wise of what they've done for our program in the short time that they've been here. Danielle O'Toole, I mean, I see the pitchers doing so much that we're all like, maybe we should run more. You know, like these pitchers are running, sprinting, doing a lot of competitive work. She is able to mentor our lefty pitcher in Randy. Like not many people can throw left-handed, and sometimes it is different. You see all these left-handed, no, not all of them, but some of these left-handed pitchers, I mean, honestly, I mean, you look at Sheridan and they can spin it, like they can spin it up and down, and Thule is really working our pitchers of how to change speeds effectively. I mean, you can see it. She pretty much built herself throughout, travel ball and college, and she can articulate how to grip balls, how to be in better positions for power, how to be able to resist yourself when you land, and all these proper pitching techniques that I get down with too. She's putting on a good year for these student athletes, but she is pregnant. So, she's going to have to take some time out. Baby's due in March. And, Brandon, so baby's due in March. Coach Quico's going to have to be able to take over pitch calling at some point during the year. And hopefully, we can close with Coach Thule if we can, she'll have the baby around. But listen to this. Marissa Stankwitz, she's recently married, she's Brandon's wife as well. So she's our director of player development, analytics, film, being able to get with the coaching staff and figure out how to get, these student athletes better as well. She's killing it, behind the scenes, and just had a baby. So I have 2 babies. Brandon and Marissa have a baby. Thule's coming with. We have a clan. I mean, we're gonna start a softball team, I think, or some type of team with all these babies around. And she's Coach Thule's just killing it in the bullpen. We're gonna be good. We're gonna be good in the circles for sure.
You mentioned it earlier about Kylie taking over the defense and that you're going to see more of you want to manage all aspects of the game. Is that something you always wanted to do? Obviously, with the expanded coaching staffs, the more extra full-time helps make this happen across the sport. That's been a consensus I've heard from all the coaches, that it's allowed them to free them up to be more of a, manager role where they could oversee everything instead of, hey, I got to focus on this person. What's unique about you is you're regarded as one of the best defensive coaches in the sport. Was that easy to kind of step back from that? No, not be honest, because you love it. You love that side, right?
I do love it, but there's no one I would entrust it with more than Coach Quico. She knows my philosophies. She also has different philosophies that I never really thought of, actually. When, our car rides home, we're like talking about it, that she's never felt like she had, since I am, one of the better defensive coaches out there, I think, in my opinion. So maybe sometimes it's hard for her to voice that, right? And so she's able to put some of that stuff in, and it's really made us more rounded, right? And so I think that it is hard for me to give up, but if anyone, like, I have ego and pride, as most people do, when you're a high performer, and being able to let go with some of that has made me a better coach. It's got me to create better relationships with the pitchers. Like, I want to go in and sit in the bullpen and talk to these student athletes, and go see, the hitters hit when I'm out doing defense or something like that, So yes, it is, I have ego and pride, and moving that aside at times is going to really help you grow as a person, and as a coach, as a manager. And I just think she's doing a phenomenal job.
Obviously, this year is the final year of the Pac-12. As we talk about your schedule, you got a tough non-conference schedule. But when do you think it's going to hit you? Has it hit you that this is going to be the last? Somebody who played in the league and now is coached in the league. I mean, it is what it is. It's beyond everybody's control on it. But this will be the last year, and I've heard from people within the league that in all the sports that there's that extra motivation of, hey, we want to go out on top in this last year. If this is the last year, let's go out with a bang and make history, because this is going to be a season in the Pac that people are going to be talking about years down the road.
I mean, who doesn't want to win the last Pac-12 championship, right? Whether it's for conference or the Pac-12 tournament, right? I want to win it. I'll tell you this, there is no sport in any of the Power Five than softball coaches in the Pac-12 are so prideful of the Pac-12. You have 6 or 7 Pac-12 alums coaching the sport that they're at their alma mater. I mean, I'll tell you, when it started unfolding, there was nobody more punched in the gut when we all knew the Pac-12 was falling than the softball coaches. I'll tell you that. Coach Amy, me, all of us. I mean, I can go on and on about how many there are, but nobody wants to leave the Pac-12. But that is where it is. And so, I'm happy that we're gonna go or I'm excited to go compete in a premier conference like the ACC. The ACC grabbed 2 good RPI teams, I'll tell you that, coming in with us and Stanford. We're always going to have some really good teams, great West Coast talent. Obviously, Cal's going to be is a national brand, but we're probably going to have to move to be even bigger national brand, playing on the on the East Coast. And scheduling wise, it's going to be tough to manage, but it's nothing really different than what we do. We usually take preseason trips across time zones. Now we're going to stay, West Coast to get all of our West Coast parents able to see their athletes play. We're going to have home games too. We're not going to have home games in Dallas or wherever. Like, we're not going to take any home games away from us on the West Coast. So that's great. We're going to primarily have preseason on the West Coast. And like this year we're going to Lafayette, right? As a home opener. So we won't be doing that stuff because we'll stay more a little bit home. And with the ACC having so many teams, there's 2 bye schedules. So hopefully we can have a bye early in the season to accommodate some of our travel woes, but we'll have like 3 travel trips to the Atlantic coast every year. And it's gonna be good. I'm super excited. I don't see those teams regularly, right? I don't
Right.
see those teams regularly at all. So for this first year, I'm gonna be super understanding of my preseason scheduling, because I don't know how I don't know how we're gonna play in maybe 42-degree weather.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I coached at Michigan State. I know as a coach what it means to play in the cold.
Yeah.
I want to see what this travel thing's going to look like before I have a pretty hard preseason, schedule. So
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to ask you about how it could affect your non-conference schedule, because you're right. That'll be interesting as you go through it the first couple of years. You'll probably make
Right.
adjustments either way, depending on how that goes. But that's kind of an underrated underlining story. The stories about everybody in the movement and all that, but it's really the side effects that are interesting. And I have a feeling when we get you back on a year from now that we'll be talking more in depth about that stuff ongoing. There's always something that's going on when you come on the show. By the way, have you noticed that? There's always some like I remember when you first took over. It was shortly right when the portal started and everything. Has it blown you away how college athletics has changed in such a short period of time with all that's going on in college athletics?
Yeah, I don't know. You adapt and adjust on what everything's doing anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like for example, one year, like the NCAA, like they should let the girls make lessons. Like there's things are happening in college athletics that um probably should have some regulation to it,
Yeah.
right? There definitely needs to be regulation if we all want to say blank, blank, blank of fairness and equal opportunity and things like that. But was it unfair to the student athletes prior to? Absolutely. I mean, with the whole, like, coaches can leave, and not sit out a year, but players can't leave or, and have to sit out a
Yeah,
year. Like,
yeah,
I love the portal. Look, if you're not happy with me, I'm probably not going to be happy with you. I think that's a good space to give the athlete and the student athletes across college athletics the autonomy to be able to transfer. Like, why not? Even I've had kids who are like, Coach, this is not the right fit for me. I'd like more playing time. Perfect. If this is not the right fit, I don't have to be mad at you. You don't have to be mad at me either. Like, why don't we get you to where you need to go? I mean, you've seen it in the summertime with other people. Obviously, um,
yeah. That's
I
the story in
feel,
all the college sports, though. I mean, that's really
you
what it
know,
is becoming. Yeah,
it is, and we should give them the autonomy to be able to transfer. I do think NIL that we need to really find some regulation there, because if we're talking about student athletes with NIL, for like, this school should uh it shouldn't go through donors. It should go through the school and be able to do it that way. That way there's regulation, things like that. I
sure.
don't know. I don't know. I'm just a coach in here in the pond.
Yeah,
I'm a pawn in this game that I'm just following, what I need to do. But, at the same time, it is creating some adverse side effects to college athletics
yeah.
that I don't know if we were anticipating.
No, it's fair. Well said. Couple more things before we let you go. I remember a year ago when we had you on, I asked you about the Pac 12 tournament starting. You were sort of mixed. You said the traditional side of you hated it as
I
somebody that
hate it.
played in the league over there. So I'm curious now, having gone through one, and you're going to have another one this year in Stanford, and then eventually you're going to have more conference tournaments in the future. Do you have changed your mind? Do you warmed up to it? Do you like it? Where do you feel about it now?
Here's my thing. I think the automatic qualifier should be the conference champion.
Regular
You see
season.
it yeah,
Okay.
the regular season conference champion. Like, you see it in, I don't know, I think Bakersfield about 4 years ago, maybe five now, I'm getting old, made it to the tournament. And they were like 15-30 when New Mexico State, I think it was, who won the conference, or was like, I think that the automatic qualifier, I don't know how it should really go, but that's just mine. Like, if it's the true body of work, then your true body of work should shine, right? And I get it. Like, then you can get, if you have a hot run in the postseason, like Utah last year, they got a seed, they got a home seed, cool, whatever. Either way, it is what it is. I do have my own beliefs that the conference champion should be the automatic qualifier. I'm old school, yet new school at times. I think your body of work should reflect what it should be, but that's just me, and I'm a little old school that way. But I loved the conference tournament. It puts you in a postseason feel without having the effects of the postseason. Like, if you lose a game, you're like, oh, but you're still in contention for the postseason. It gave you those butterflies before the postseason was actually there. Loved it. The Pac-12 did a phenomenal job. Arizona did a phenomenal job hosting us. I had a great time. It was actually really great to watch uh, uh, the competitors compete there with Utah. Like, Utah, man, they went on a solid run. Very proud of that team. Excited what they're going to do in the future too, in these other conferences. But yeah, I still have mixed feelings already to this day.
Well, I think you and I are not in too different of opinion on this. It sounds to me you would prefer the automatic. You like the tournament, conference tournament. You're fine with having it. You just want the automatic bid to go to the regular season champion and reward the marathon instead of the sprint. But you saw the benefit of the tournament to Utah because let's be real, Utah probably doesn't host without that run they make in the conference tournament. I've always agreed with that. I've always felt the automatic bid, and not just softball, but I'm talking about the other sports that do it, that the automatic bid should go to the regular season champion. The pushback I've gotten in other sports in particular is, hey, we got to spice it up for coverage purposes and for exposure and things like that. But I tend to agree with you, though. I agree with you.
I still think Utah, if it's your true body of work, when there's a human element to the seating, right? So if they're looking at, even Utah doesn't get the automatic qualifier, they still probably see them high because what they were doing right then and there.
Right, because they played well and the teams they beat through that tournament. I agree. I hear you. As somebody who does bracketology, I had to stay up. I had to redo my bracket at 3 a.m. when Utah won the bid there. I don't think I've ever asked you this before. Volleyball, women's soccer seed 32 teams. Do you think softball should go in that direction, or you think it's overblown?
I think they're doing that this next year. I could
In
be
the
wrong.
next year too? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I know there's been chatter.
Yeah,
So
I think I'm kind of out of the chatter at times, but
it's
I
probably
think
smart.
I think they are. But yeah, I think there's benefits because with the I think that's why we got the last 2 seed last year, is because we had to travel, and the other 400-mile radius
Yeah.
rule, it put people in where we were supposed to go, and I was like, there's no way we got the last 2 seed, and it was,
No, yeah, no, that's a great point right there, because you really just explain the flaws of the whole process with the 400-mile radius, because perfectly, really better than I have, and I'm the bracketologist, so maybe I should just hire you to be my
Yay!
No, but you bring a great point. There are certain teams that you probably should have been. If it was a true seeding, you probably would have been placed somewhere else, but because they could bus a team to a certain region, you can't go there. So you pretty much know going in, well, we're not going there, we're not going there. So if we're a 2, we're likely here, here, or here. So that's exactly what happened to you, because I'll be real upfront and honest with you. Because of that process, I had you going to Oklahoma just because of elimination. I actually had you in Missouri.
I thought we were going to go at not so far down, but pretty close. I didn't think we were going to go to Oklahoma, but it was there.
It just worked out that way, because, like, for example, like, you didn't go to Oklahoma State because Nebraska went there because they could bust there, and they went there first. So it's just whereas if the theory behind seeding 32s, that would eliminate some of that in theory. But
I was hoping we were going to Texas.
Well, trust me, storyline.
They kind of got. I mean, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Did you just do that?" And yeah, they did.
Well, they had to put that A&M. Yeah, they put A&M there. They loved it. But again, busing to Texas.
Yeah,
I mean, although you were part of it, obviously, a couple years ago, where a lot of chatter when Oregon sent to Texas, which obviously created a lot of narratives, which we'll not get into. But that, to your point, I did wonder if maybe they.
I was hoping. I was like, come on.
See, you embraced the storyline there, narrative, right?
I told Coach White, "Hey, Coach, should I say something to you over the internet to like create some spice to hopefully to get me to get sent to you?" I was cracking up. I'm like, "I'm gonna start this drama, Coach." He was like, "Oh no, Spencer, don't do it." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Bye.
Oh, that was been great. Well, you should have just said, "Hey, I'm coming for you, Cat Osterman. You better be out there. You better treat me right." There you go. That's really.
I hate Mike White. I hate Mike White and what he does. No,
even though
I love that guy, man. That's my boy.
Oh, that's good. No, that's good. I think that we just figured out why you wanted to go to Texas. You just wanted to visit Cat. You wanted to visit Cat. You wanted to visit her dog, which is very fair. I think that's really what it was. But no, it's Cat.
My homie.
Your old teammate there. All right. Last thing before we let you go, before the season will get going in February. What are a couple keys, couple questions maybe you have in your mind that you want answered about your team that will determine the success of your season that you maybe will not find out until you play somebody else for real starting in February?
Are we good coaches? That's the question, right? Like, did I prepare them right always? I mean, one time we made a World Series run, and me and Jimmy and Mike, oh my God, Mike Roberts, we got Coach Quico, Mike White. We're like, oh, we're good, and we lose the first game of the season to Cal Poly, and we're losing the next game to Fresno State. Somehow pull it out, and like, we're not as good as we thought we were. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh my God. So I mean, there's many questions that you do want to answer, right? Like, are we good coaches? Are we communicating? Are we putting them in enough situations and practice to be successful? The way you play is a reflection of leadership no matter what, right? No matter what. And it starts from the top, starts from our ADs to their head coaches, to the student athletes, to our leaders, to the student athletes. So, that's one question that, hopefully that we're doing enough. I know we are, but it's always a question. That's it. That's it, really. Did we enhance our leadership within the team? I guess, is my biggest question. Are we going to be able to lead from within on the field instead of having coaches lead the student athletes? Are the student athletes leading on the field the student athletes? And that's huge, right? Are they bought into a bunt situation, or are they so selfish they want to hit them in, right? Like things like that, where like, are we celebrating things in a way where we're bought in enough? Um,
I have a follow up about, you mentioned your coaching staff. Obviously, a lot of new people in the staff. We always talk about cliche about a team gelling and how long it takes. For a coaching staff, is there a period of time of gelling? Does it gel right away? Does it take time? Like, well, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Does that apply to coaches in the fall, kind of getting to know each other and their styles?
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Me and Brandon, man, he's from San Jose, so I grew up in the Bay too. So the Bay Area folk, we're different. I'll tell you that. We vibe different, we dance different, we talk different, and me and him on the same staff is, oh man, I just feel like I've known him and I've never known him ever, and I feel like I've known him for my whole life, and I think that what him, Marissa, Thule have brought into our program is fun. We're playing differently this year. Uh, acceptance of different, like Thule's different, and she's weird. I'm weird. Brandon's weird. Coach Quico's weird. Marissa's weird, and I love it. Like we at Berkeley, you have to be different, right? You get different personalities because nobody goes to Berkeley that's normal. We want to stand out. We want to have people who are diverse, who are rich in who they are. Like that's important to us, academically and athletically. So this year we have a bit of different swag, and authentically, they're going to be all who they are. And I hope that these student athletes have whatever successful season, whatever that means to us. I hope that's that, because these girls have worked their butts off to make it happen. And it's very, this team I'm the most proud of so far. Uh, they've done everything they could to get us to where they think that we need to be in the spot we're in. So yeah, I do think it's a period of adjustment for the coaching staff to gel, but at the same time, like, our coaching staff's phenomenal. I'll tell you that. I hope they don't, I hope I can keep it together for, at least 5 years.
That's Chelsea Spencer, head coach of Cal, here on In the Circle. Well, I hope we can do this 5 more years. Keep doing this.
Oh, we're gonna do this 5 more years for sure.
I love it. We always love having you on. You're one of our favorites. I always appreciate your honesty and just talking, not just softball, but college athletics. I know you're very passionate about it, the whole thing. So we always appreciate your honesty and your candor and always taking the time to talk to us. We will cross paths, but as always, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having us on, Eric, and go Bears. Let's go.